Crawford and Spence, Spence and Crawford. Spence. Yeah.
What's going on, you guys? Yeah, I know. It's another Terence Bud Crawford video. But hey, it's not my fault these guys, Fight Hub TV, salute to Fight Hub TV, Fight Hype, etc., ask these guys about Terence Bud Crawford. And when there's not things going on in the sport of boxing, what better topic to talk about than Terence Bud Crawford? Hit that like button for your boy. Give me the HBO special. That's the Help a Brother Out special. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers.
He's a much bigger fighter on fight night. And that, I think, his style is one that will lead him to the victory.
Kenny Porter. My main man, KP. K. Diddy. Kenny Porter, man. He knows exactly what he's doing. Controversial Kenny is what I'm going to call him. And he knows what he's doing. Fight Hub TV asked him the question about the Spence Crawford fight. I mean, this is the fight that these media guys are constantly asking these guys. There's a who's who in the boxing, right? Of course, Kenny Porter, now his tune has changed about Terence Bud Crawford overnight. It almost seemed like he's just doing this simply for attention. Now, Kenny Porter knows what he's doing, right? But he gets asked the question, who will win the fight? Did you see the Avaresian fight? And, of course, a lot of these guys, strange enough, didn't watch the fight. Kenny Porter said he didn't even see any highlights. But he said that Crawford, Terence Bud Crawford, Spence ain't going down. He said that Errol Spence would impose his will on Terence Crawford. Errol Spence simply wins the fight because he's the bigger man. Now, we know that Crawford, since moving up to 147, one may say he's always been the smaller man. And yet, and still, that size doesn't play a factor when we're talking about Terence Bud Crawford. Sean Porter's a naturally bigger man, right? But guess what? Terence Crawford picked him up and walked him across the ring. Terence Crawford, we haven't seen him get bullied or pushed around in the ring by any fighter, not even the guys at 147. But Kenny Porter seems to believe that Errol Spence will impose his will on Terence Bud Crawford with volume and size. And he's entitled to his opinion, right? Even if he is capping, right? Even if he is capping, he's entitled to cap. But I see things a lot differently, right? You know your boy Bushido, how we see it over here. We see Terence Crawford stopping Errol Spence Jr. within 10 rounds. Okay, we're going to give him 10 rounds. It's not going past 10 rounds. But Kenny Porter said Spence ain't going down. The guy from Fight Hub asked, well, what about Ugas? You know, fans said if Ugas could do that, what do you think Crawford's going to do? Crawford's going to go for the finish. Crawford, what we know about Terence Bud Crawford is that once he smells blood, the end is nigh. It's going to be over shortly, soon, thereafter. Errol Spence Jr., right? And I talked about this stuff more in detail on the live streams, but since this is a regular video, let me give you a little bit more details. Errol Spence Jr., man. Contrary to popular belief, I like Spence. I wouldn't even talk about the guy that much if I didn't like him, right? I don't talk about people I don't like. But when we talking about fights, when we talking about the fight between Spence and Crawford, if Errol Spence Jr. was as disciplined as Crawford, if he didn't have any accidents, these wide spots of inactivity, the undisciplined behavior outside of the ring at times, I'll give him a much better chance against Terence Crawford. Even though stylistically I still feel that it's a bad matchup. But Errol Spence Jr., does he live the fighter lifestyle like Terence Bud Crawford? It's more than just what happens in the ring. And when you're at the highest level of the sport, it's a game of inches. And Terence Bud Crawford is one of those dudes, like I said, you cut his head open, and there's a boxing glove in there. He lives, sleeps, eats boxing, right? This is what he do. This is what he was born to do. Been doing it since he was 6 or 7 years old, 8 years old, right? This is what he was born to do. He don't play no games, extremely disciplined. Probably second to only Floyd Mayweather when we talking discipline, right? Don't drink, don't do nothing. Just box. Errol Spence Jr., we can't say the same. And these things matter. What you do outside of the ring as a fighter matters. Not everybody is John Jones. They can party for a full week like a rock star, show up Saturday night, get the job done, and then continue on like nothing didn't happen. Not everybody can do that. Errol Spence is still making rookie mistakes in the ring. His words, not mine. Rookie mistakes. Spitting out the mouthpiece in the fight with Danny and in the fight with Ugas. He's spitting out his mouthpiece. You can't do things like that against Terence Bud Crawford. And Kenny Porter, he may be feeling some type of way, right? Because it seemed like he was really bigging up Bud prior to the Porter fight. A lot of respect for Crawford. He even said that Crawford stood up to him years ago when he was a teenager, had his fist balled up, ready to fight Kenny Porter over a small altercation that they had years ago. And maybe that fire reignited in Kenny's mind when he saw his son getting beat up, right? Like, this little dude was about to fight me and he beat up my son? Oh, no, I can't stand this guy. This guy, right? This guy. Errol Spence is going to mow him down. He can't beat Errol Spence. Errol Spence, John Boots Ennis is a tougher fight for Crawford than he is for Spence. You know, and all this other stuff, right? That is yet to be seen. But Kenny Porter, man, you should saw his face in the interview. Go check it out if you haven't saw it. He was smiling, and he knew the question was coming, and he knew what he was going to say. Kenny Porter's really, really playing into this. He probably seen your boy Bushido's videos. He probably seen the reaction from fans. And Kenny Porter, he loves the attention. He loves to be in the spotlight, and I ain't mad at him for it. But I think he's wrong, right? I think he's wrong. I think there's still a little bit of salt. I think he's throwing a little bit of salt out there still, right? Because Errol Spence, I think that Crawford stopped Spence. I think Crawford finishes Spence within 10 rounds. I just don't really see too much that Spence can do unless Crawford's just standing still, letting him do it, right? We've seen how the fight with Ugas was going, and Ugas is just, after that unicorn moment that he had, he's just simply stopped throwing punches. And it leads some fans to believe that Ugas was on the take. Hey, this is just what people are saying, right? This is what happened. Ugas was in a big moment, rocked Spence, had him reeling on the ropes, and then he just essentially just stood there with a high guard and took a beating, right? Almost like he was just doing too much, and he said, oh, let me pull back a little bit. I thought he could handle this. Let me pull back a little bit and let him work. That's just what it looked like. Don't throw tomatoes at me. That's just what it looked like. But against a fight with Terence Crawford, it won't play out that way. Because you hit Terence Crawford, he going to hit you back. Terence Crawford's not going to let you get in your rhythm. You're going to have to find his rhythm. All right? Terence Crawford's a rhythm fighter. It's going to be really hard for Errol Spence Jr., man. Right? It's going to be really hard for Errol Spence Jr. And it seemed like a lot of these dudes over there on the PBC side, it seemed like it's Operation Freeze Out Bud once again. We're so familiar with the vibes. We are so familiar with this. This is nothing new. Right? And, you know, for those of you who may be, oh, well, you know, Terence Crawford videos. Well, I mean, Bud Crawford's the hottest name in boxing. Don't get mad at me. And let's be honest. There's not too much time left in the sport of boxing for Terence Bud Crawford at the age of 35. Right? He probably got about good 2 years left. Right? Depending on how he holds up. You know, 35 isn't necessarily old today, right? Especially a guy like Crawford who hasn't necessarily took a lot of damage in fights. He ain't been getting knocked out or knocked down and all this other stuff, right? He ain't been going to drag down slobber knockers and wars and things of that nature. Nah, he's been really handling the opposition pretty well all the way up to this point. So we're going to see what happens. Kenny Porter, man, how about you tell Errol Spence to take the fight? Tell Errol Spence to drop this Keith Thurman thing and let's go ahead and unify this division once and for all so we can end this, right? Because I already know what's going to happen. Despite what the experts say, I know what's going to happen. Yeah, if you're new to the channel, yeah. I know what's going to happen. Terence Bud Crawford is going to stop Errol Spence Jr. Now, Kenny Porter said it's going to go to a decision, but Errol Spence Jr. will win the fight. And that's cool. You got to have somebody picking Spence. I mean, we seen who's out here picking Crawford to beat Spence. And it's a who's who of boxing. There's a lot of dudes picking Crawford to beat Spence. But there has to be a few guys out there thinking Spence can win a fight, whether they truly believe it or not, right? They got to come out and say it. Now, we saw the fight between Sean Porter and Spence and Crawford and Sean Porter. We've seen these fights. And let's be real. Let's be honest. Let's keep it 100. Terence Crawford handled Sean Porter a lot better than Errol Spence Jr. But guess what? Oh, well, Sean Porter didn't train as hard. Oh, well, don't bet on the fight. I would have told you before the fight, don't bet on it. So, Kenny Porter, you didn't believe in your son at all. That's basically what you're saying. You didn't believe in Sean at all. You didn't believe Sean could get the job done. Sean Porter said he did whatever it took. He went pull out all stops in preparation to that fight. But his father said something differently to kind of downplay and water the victory that Terence Crawford obtained over Sean Porter. The stoppage victory over Sean Porter. Something that's never been done by nobody. All these bigger guys, these guys that used to be at 154 early in their careers coming down to 147. Crawford is a lightweight coming up to 147, and he stopped the Marine, the Warrior, Sean Porter. So, hey, maybe that's why Kenny Porter's coming out saying what he's got to say. But Kenny Porter knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy. He knows how this thing works. He knows how the sport of boxing works. And, yeah, man, Errol Spence Jr., I'm looking for him to spin the block. I'm looking for him to fight Terence Bud Crawford in 2023 so we can end this discussion, this topic, once and for all. Like, subscribe, holla at your boy. Peace out.